If you feel tired all the time, but more sleep, more rest, even taking time off isn't helping, then you might just be solving the wrong problem. Now, I went to the doctors to get some in-depth blood tests done a couple months ago because I got to a point where I was actually really worried about why I was feeling tired and exhausted all the time, and I just wanted to check to see if maybe I needed more vitamins or maybe there was something missing in my diet that I needed to fix. But everything came back normal, which, don't get me wrong, I was super relieved about, but also confused at the same time as to why I've been feeling this exhaustion for the past couple years of my life. So after having a chat with the doctor, he helped me understand that there's actually more than one version of tiredness. And because I didn't know what version of tiredness I was experiencing, I was trying to fix it the wrong way. So, welcome to your energy reset. After years of experiencing burnout, I've finally found a couple things which has massively helped me, hoping that they're going to help you as well. So let's start with phase 1, identifying your tiredness. Now, something that I didn't know at the time was that there are actually 3 different types of fatigue or tiredness, whatever you want to call it. The first one is brain fatigue, where your nervous system is overloaded. So this is like mental load, not necessarily a lack of physical energy. The second one is body fatigue, which is where your body is under-recovered. Now, this is what we normally call physical tiredness, where you're actually physically tired. And the final one is life fatigue, where there's something in your life right now that isn't right, which is why it's causing resistance within your body. This is usually emotional tiredness, okay? Now, let me clarify, all of these work simultaneously. You might be going, yes, I can relate to every single one of those, but there is usually a dominant force. Now, if you're a bit confused as to which one is the most dominant, that's okay. I'm going to go over some real life examples to see which ones you most relate to. So for example, if brain fatigue is the most dominant in your life, then usually you feel tired all the time, but also really wired. Like you've been on your phone and laptop all day and you can barely focus on anything properly. You've got constant notifications, emails, and you're constantly consuming content and picking up your phone. Or maybe you keep switching between tasks or scrolling and you just feel like absolutely drained, like nothing in life is exciting you. That could be a sign of brain fatigue. Or maybe you're going through body fatigue, which can feel like where you're waking up groggy, even after a really good sleep. Or your body might feel really heavy, slow and low energy. Maybe you stayed up late all week and now you're feeling a bit tired. Or you've been training really hard, or you've got a really physical job. So your body is feeling slow and low energy, or you're relying on caffeine to function. That's a sign of body fatigue. And finally, life fatigue. Now this is something a little bit deeper. Something that's quite easy to ignore past the physical and mental. This is emotional, as we were saying earlier. Whether that's maybe you're in a job that you don't really like, or you're in a relationship that's maybe draining you, or you're in a friendship group which you know isn't aligning with who you are, and that's draining you. Spending time with the wrong people might be draining you. And this is a way of your body is giving you alerts that something doesn't feel right in your life. That is life fatigue, okay? So based on those 3, which one can you relate to the most? Focus on that one first. Don't try and fix all 3, because most of the time, the one that's most dominant in your life is the driver to your problems. And also this will help because we're going to categorize them into how you can resolve each issue. So it's important that you try and pick one that we can focus on first. Phase 2. Now we need to interrupt the state. Now before you fix anything, we've got to break the loop of continuous things that we don't realise we're probably doing within our life that's causing us to fall into these bad habits, procrastinate, pick up our phone, scroll, for example, things like this, okay? So before we find a resolution, we've got to break the loop, because you cannot fix a state from inside the state. That's exactly like putting someone who wants to quit smoking into a cigarette shop, right? Of course, they're going to go to what feels familiar and pick up the cigarettes, okay? So, for example, what I mean by that is when you're tired, you're usually defaulting to a couple things. Maybe you're defaulting to staying in the same environment. Maybe you're falling into repeating the same habits. Or maybe for some people, you're forcing discipline. For me, that was a massive factor. I was always forcing discipline when I was physically tired and my body needed to rest, my body needed to reset, okay? So this is all about resetting ourselves. Not gonna lie, a lot of the time you come back to the gym, maybe after a couple of days off, feeling excited to train again. Or you're enjoying your workouts, you're feeling stronger because you're giving yourself your body and your mind time to recover. Change your location. we need to change your input, and we need to change your behavior. So for example, that might mean leaving the house when you want to stay in. So if you're struggling with scrolling and things aren't going right, your work's not going well, you're procrastinating, you need to leave the house before you fall into that habit of deep dive scrolling. Another idea is going outside to be social and going to meet with friends when normally you might isolate. Okay, maybe you have the habit of pulling yourself back when you want to be more social with people. You need to break that cycle. As soon as you have that thing of, oh, that's quite scary, I don't want to go out there and be social with these people, meet these new people, do something that's uncomfortable, you result to staying in the same environment, which is like your house and your bed. That's quite easy to do, but that will result to you falling into the same cycles which you don't want to do. So now let's move on to phase 3, applying the correct fix. Okay, because life, brain, and body all have different fixes for how we can stop ourselves from feeling so tired. Okay, so prioritize the right one and you should be feeling a lot better. So first, let's touch on brain fatigue, which is honestly probably what most people are struggling with at the moment, especially with social media and technology in 2026. There's so much overstimulation, procrastination, and doom scrolling, right? So your problem here is not that you're doing too much. You're feeling tired because your brain is processing too many inputs without a resolution. Okay? And what I mean by that is what the cheap dopamines give us. Okay? So we're feeling drained because, for example, we're scrolling all the time. There's loads of notifications with constant content. We're being rewarded for no work. And that's not how your body works. Your body gets confused because you're saying to your body, we can get this reward without putting any effort. Now, when we put that effort in and get rewarded, for example, we do some really hard work and we get a good grade, or we do a workout and that's really difficult, but we feel really good and strong afterwards. Your body is releasing endorphins. It gives you that high feeling. Now, don't get me wrong, both of them give you dopamine. Both of them release dopamine, but there's a difference between the cheap versus expensive dopamine. Now, when you pick the cheap dopamine, your dopamine is spiking really, really high. And the problem is with that is that once you get that massive dopamine spike, your body continues to crave more. So when you stop and you go back to work again, your dopamine is dipping and then your body wants that high feeling again. So that just leads to you craving more dopamine and then picking up that phone again, scrolling, whatever it is. Whereas when you run and do a really hard run and then you feel great after, your body releases dopamine that's not a quick hit. It's a lot more slower and sustained, and it makes you feel calm, it makes you feel good. It's not a spike that goes up really high and then goes down really quickly. It's a slow and more sustained feeling where you actually feel that reward for a much longer amount of time. Now, the biggest game changer for me when it came to this was that I used to confuse mental and physical exhaustion. Okay, so I work at home a lot. I'm always working most of the time just in my space with me and a laptop, which causes me to pick up my phone a lot, scroll a lot, sometimes doom scroll, procrastinate a damn lot, okay? And what I used to think is when I'd finish a day's work and I'd be absolutely drained, I'd be so tired, I would pick up my phone thinking that that's me resting, or I would go and put on a TV show once I finish work, once I'm, absolutely overstimulated, I'd go and continue that overstimulation thinking that I was resting when actually I'm not. What I needed to do was actually the opposite. And that's the problem I was doing, is that I was confusing mental stimulation with physical resolutions. And that sounds really confusing, but what I mean by that is basically when I've been scrolling, I would treat it like a physical issue, because when you're physically tired, of course, you need to come back home. If you've got a hard job, if you've been outside all day, if you've been grafting, you've been running and things like that, you need to come home, rest. You need to read a book, you need to slow down, you need to let your body rest, of course. But when you're mentally overstimulated, you don't need more of that. You need to do the opposite, which is going out physical, engaging with nature. You need to go on a walk, you need to train at the gym, you need to get outside, do something in the real world that's going to take you away from your phone. And I'm not saying that means that you can't, go out and, when you finish work, you can't come home and put on a Netflix series. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when your body is feeling really, really mentally exhausted, what you need to do before going to watch that Netflix stuff, before going to chill and watch TV, you need to get yourself outside to go and do something to reset your brain so that you feel better. Then you can come back and watch that show. Once your dopamine levels have calmed down a little bit and they're a bit more surface level, then you can go and watch that TV series, whatever it is. Next, let's move on to body fatigue. How do we reset our body when our body is feeling tired, it's feeling drained, it's begging for a rest because we're waking up tired and we're waking up and we feel a bit slow, a bit drained, right? Here's what's actually happening. It's not that we necessarily have low energy most of the time. It's because we have inconsistent energy levels, and that usually comes from a really inconsistent schedule. Maybe you wake up at completely different times. Maybe you randomly start eating at different times of the day, like you have a really heavy meal before bed, or maybe you have a lot of stimulation late at night, you're watching shows, whatever it is. Completely normal. We're all human, but we need to find a level that kind of works for us so that we can be consistent within how we operate within our days. What I'm saying is we need to set realistic goals. So for example, a wake up time which works for us that we can stick to. Or a bedtime, for example, that we can stick to as best possible. Or a dinner time where we can go, yeah, do you know what? I could probably finish eating my dinner by 8 p.m. and then I can rest so that I'm ready for bed. That seems realistic. It's all about setting realistic goals that we can actually stick to. And this also can apply for like weekends or if you have late nights out. It's important to try, and a lot of the time we try and think, okay, right, we do need to just, sleep in as much as possible on the weekends and like catch up on sleep, and that's completely great, but that also can creates an inconsistent schedule and it confuses our brain a little bit. Even when you have had a little bit of a later night, try and just wake up similar-ish time. It doesn't have to be the same. We're not all perfect. We can't fit the perfect schedule, but we can try and be a bit more consistent. Next, we've all heard this, but within 30 minutes of waking, just try not to touch your phone too much. Try not to even go for coffee. A lot of the time there are some hidden disruptors within our day that makes us crash, which is, we go straight for the coffee machine, which I absolutely love, which I'm probably going to continue doing anyway, even though the advice is 90 minutes or whatever it is. Look, we're not perfect, but we can try and be as best as possible, right? Try and be as sensible as possible. For me, I love my coffee. Like if you can, say for example you do want that coffee in the morning, try and just get some morning sunlight. Try and just go outside, try and go on a walk, try and move your body. Don't start the day by instantly picking up your phone. That's how I've always fall into the cycle. It always starts with something little, like picking up your phone, and then it goes to scrolling, then it goes to this, and it gets worse and worse and worse. You want to break that loop. When you wake up, try and do a couple things within your morning just to boost your morning. Start it well and end the day well, usually. The final thing which I think has helped me the most is creating like a shut off signal for my body in the evening for when it can hone down and relax. Like I remember at one point I stopped eating all my meals and all food actually at 6 p.m, which to me was too extreme, but it made me feel incredible. So I did extend that to maybe like 7 p.m, 7:30. Now it's probably like 8 o'clock, but I try if I can to have my dinner by 8 p.m. and try and eat very, very little food before I go to bed, because then otherwise my body is digesting food while I sleep instead of actually focusing on recovering. I'm focusing on digesting all that food, but I cannot tell you how much just a simple thing like stopping yourself from eating for like 2 hours before bed has massively helped me and helped my body recover and feel a lot better. Now, let's go over to our emotional reset. Okay, this is all about our life reset here. We need to get deep here, so buckle in. So what's actually happening here? You're feeling tired because something within your body or something within your life right now isn't aligning. And that's a signal from your body that something isn't feeling right. So a couple examples of where the resistance can be coming from within your body that's signaling something isn't right could be from maybe there's a decision that you want to make that, you feel like maybe your friends and your family think you should make this decision, but you want to make this decision. Or maybe you're taking a career path which isn't true to you and that's not who you truly want to be. Maybe you're not happy with your job and you started, getting a bit frustrated. You might need a change of industry or change of scenery, change of job role, whatever it is. Or Maybe you're struggling to have hard conversations. You want to bring up something that's really been hurting you, but you're too afraid at the moment. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's the friends, maybe you're getting yourself around the wrong people that don't align with who you truly are, okay? Locate the friction. Be honest with yourself. What is feeling a little bit off at the moment, and start from there. This isn't about trying to fix everything at once, just one little thing that might have an impact on your overall happiness. Now, when it comes to this, I want you to try and ask yourself, like, what is feeling heavy every single day, or what is making you feel drained? Like, give yourself a little audit of your day and just have a little think about what is feeling a bit off that you're ignoring, or what is a task you know that you should be doing, or something else that you should be doing that you have been putting off. There's a really good phrase that I like for this, I live by, and it's even on my phone wallpaper right now, which was from a man called Scott Adams, who said, "Laziness is a habit of thinking about the effort instead of the outcome." And that's the new thing that I live by. Whenever I find myself having a hard task to do, like I've got to go to the gym, rather than thinking about the hour that I'm going to spend that's going to be tough, I think about how great I'm going to be feeling for the other 23 hours. Or if I want to cook a really nice meal, rather than thinking about the effort it takes to cook that meal, why don't you just focus on how good it's going to taste and how good you're going to feel after eating it? Or for example, I'm trying to learn a language right now. So rather than me thinking about the quiet hours that I spend on my own trying to study, I think about how great it will feel being able to talk to my partner's families who are in other countries. That would be absolutely amazing. So that's something that motivates me. This massively impacted my life, especially when I make these videos, how great I feel when I've done it. As opposed to sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got to spend ages editing it. But you guys will enjoy it, and that fulfills me. So have a little think about what is causing friction in your life. And there's usually two options of how you can deal with it. You can cut it out, you can reduce it, actually 3, or you can change it. Phase 4, making the fix an actual habit. Now we have identified what the problem is. It's all good. We all feel motivated, and then a month later we get frustrated, we get down, we go back to the same habits. But how are we going to stop that? A lot of the time it's because we set way too unrealistic expectations for ourselves. That's when I've found that I have not stuck to what I've truly wanted to do. So I want you to fixate on one thing that you are going to change gradually within your life to become a habit. So think about whether you struggle with brain, body, or life fatigue. Whatever it is, you can maybe pick 3, one of each to pick from, but I think the best way to do it is maybe pick one within the most dominant one for now. It's all about taking small steps here. It's all about making small changes, which might not seem like a lot, but over time it's going to compound, and it's going to make your life feel a lot better and help you feel less tired. So, phase 5, use the system daily. When you're feeling that tired, when you're feeling demotivated, think, what type of tiredness am I feeling? Is it brain? Is it life? Is it body? And you can come back to this video where you can write down a couple ways that you can resolve that and how you're going to move your life forward. And I want you to try and break those loops. As soon as you're feeling overstimulated, as soon as you're feeling stressed, and you feel like you then go ahead and want to pick that phone up, go and find a better solution. Or when your body is absolutely drained, go the next morning to try and wake up the same time in the day. Apply the fix and act on it immediately. Okay, try and do it right away. Not just, oh, I might do that next week. No, I want you to literally, as soon as you're feeling that tiredness and you know the fix, go and do it. Even if that's just a 5-minute job, whatever it is better than nothing. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. These are some things which really helped me. If they helped you, please comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Take care.